Congratulations. They were who we thought they were, and they came in very well prepared. I thought that they played well all day. Thought their team showed the physicality we saw. I thought the running back was a real difference all day long. I thought the quarterback's ability to handle pressure, especially there late, was a big difference. And you look at the game, and you can't make mistakes against good football teams, and it's a valuable learning experience. Some of our guys that haven't been through something like this before, you can preach, and sometimes you need a painful lesson to what your message is. And unfortunately, we got one today. So, but certainly, Elon, no turnovers on the day. Took advantage of their opportunity. 4-4 in the red zone. Ran the ball for 212, threw for 286. Very impressive performance today. Got 2 touchdowns called back on penalties. And beat good football teams.
Coach, all week you talked about how good a defense. They've been in this scheme for a couple of years.
Yep.
You liked what you saw in the game that was won and lost at the line of scrimmage?
Well, I think that they, they played well against the job against our run game all day long. Most of those players have been there for a couple of years. Most of them were there, a couple of years ago playing, when the score was a lot different. And so they have a lot of maturity over there. I thought they played very, very well against the run today. They did a good job pressuring Ben. Caught our fourth quarter and able to take advantage of some one-on-one matchups, but just did not make the plays when we had to there at the end of the game.
Finishing 3 field goals in the first half, how crucial do you feel in the locker room?
Yeah, and then you had another drive where you're down there in field goal range and come away with nothing. So you got to convert in the red zone, and we've talked about that before. We talked about that. You got to capitalize down there. They did a good job holding us to field goals, and that came back to haunt us there late.
Riley, getting separation from the corners seemed to be for the receivers today. Anything different than you normally see?
We knew they were talented. The older guys they were there last year. They started, so they have some experience. They played well. I know myself. I didn't have the best games in college today. But yeah, they're a talented team. They played really well. Didn't make any mistakes and capitalized.
Was it?
The one behind the ball, and we preach about it all the time. And on the punt return, we don't block behind the ball. That way, you never have the opportunity to have a penalty behind the play. So, just can't have that. So, hope they'll listen now. The other one, it's a tough time to have that called. The interception return for a touchdown, call back on just the face. So have it. So it comes back to bite you in the rear end.
And just the amount of pressure they were able to get on Ben. I think 4 or 5 sacks. Does that make it tough when you get behind a change? You can't.
Sure. It's kind of their deal, with that defensive scheme. They're going to take some chances. We talked about it all week. They're going to have and so they certainly did. Bringing 4 and 5 to a side. There's going to be a high risk, high reward, and I think you saw some of the late. We just did for the plays. You catch some of those passes we dropped. You convert some of those first downs. It's a different ball game, but that's why you got to make the plays. They made the plays and we didn't. That's the reason they won the ball game.
Mistakes. What do you take from that moving forward and during the week? What's the messaging? You mentioned somebody been through that before. How do you use that as a teaching tool throughout the week now to coming off something like this? Well,
we had 4 penalties, 2 of them on the same play. So it's not like we had 15 penalties or something like that. It's just the opportune times when we had them. It just bit you. There's so many things that you can take from today that are things that we preach all the time. Whether it's ball security, or whether it's as we talked about, blocking behind the play, or it's doing a great job with your pass rush moves, so your hands aren't up high in the face of a offensive player, if that's what it was. there's so many things that we teach and preach about, and maybe that'll reinforce. Like I said, they did a great job. At the end of the day, they did a great job of running the football. We struggle to run the football, and I do believe that wins ball games. And that's why we've got to work real hard to improve.
Trey, today you guys, coach just mentioned it, struggled at times to running game going today. What was Elon doing so well at the line of scrimmage that kind of bottled you guys up?
They run like a distinct defense. They run a 3-3 stack, different for everything in the run as far as angle, double teams, things like that. So, yeah, we just got to prepare better.
Riley, is it a strange, weird thing to be sort of digesting a long? It's been a long time since you guys have lost a league game.
Yeah, I mean, we lost at home was in 2015 as well. Yeah, it's weird. It's never. I mean, we don't games here, and to drop 2 this season that could have and should have won. I think that moving forward, just like Coach said, hopefully we can focus a little bit more in the future, focus on attention sales, and not allow something like this to happen again.
Dimitri, they went fast on that last drive after the fumble. How much trouble did the tempo give you guys, and I guess what was so difficult?
I think it was more so just us as the defense, just knowing that we got to line up to the sideline as a whole and get it, because it's got one person out there just screaming the defense out. Everybody might not get it because it's just so low. So just locking in.
Dimitri, speaking on a player's perspective, what was it like chasing around Summers all day today, or bringing a rush attack that you really hadn't seen that much this year?
It was just one of those situations. We had to prepare for it all. We knew he was a good back. He showed why he was a good back. It was just more so that we weren't in our gaps, or we weren't fitting zones and stuff like that correctly. So.
All right. Do you feel like you guys were kind of before the fumble? Do you feel like you guys were kind of getting in the rhythm that you were looking at fourth quarter before that turnover?
We definitely were. It took us a long time to get going, and sometimes that happens against teams. But when you drop passes, I had way too many drop passes today. We just didn't execute in times that we needed to execute, so it took us longer to get going. And then once we finally did, it's a critical mistake. Just a little bit of lack of focus. Against a good team, they can capitalize on that. But we should have just gotten the momentum like that going earlier on in the game.
Mike, I realize it's October 6th. Played the game 15 minutes ago, but what do you think this does for the league race? Obviously, you guys have been up there for quite a while.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, everybody knows what this is, and maybe some of our real young players, thought we didn't know what we were talking about. But you better be ready to play every single week in this league. We've had a lot of ball games just like that we found a way to win. And we didn't. So whatever those reasons are that we didn't win the ball game, the past couple of years we've made the plays there late to win it, and. So it's just a reminder that this league, you're going to get everybody's best every single week. And we knew as a team coming in here, they finished second in the league last year. The exact same kids were back, so it's an older, experienced football team. And they very well. They played like an old, experienced champion football team today, which is what it's what I told you that they were earlier in the week. Hats off to them.
Younger players step back from this and move forward?
Basically, just be a leader. Let them know that this isn't the end of the world. Our season isn't over. We're not hanging the pads up tomorrow. That this is a learning experience, and we can't take anything for granted. Any Saturday, anything can happen. We have to prepare better during the week. We have to practice better. Everybody, starters, backup, scout teams. Everyone has to be all in, or things like this will happen.
Riley, Coach talked about the lessons learned. First lesson you guys learned today.
It's tough to pinpoint on one thing. I think just not making plays, mental mistakes here and there, a few critical penalties. Played like the championship caliber team that we want to be. There were times where I thought we were, but the difference between how we played today and where we want to be is those mistakes. So like Trey said, it's just got to focus on making the corrections, and hopefully next week we can have better results.
On to Villanova.